consideration, like you're saying, we also have those other two groups that are playing. So teams like Succubus, who were in 28th before that last game, they're going to be changing. They're not only paying attention to who they're going up against here in this lobby, but it's all four of those groups. Everybody is going to be battling to make it into those top 20 positions, because that's where all the money is on the line, and that's where things start to get a little bit crazy. So if we can see some more performances out of teams like Succubus, who knows what will happen. And as I say that, we've got the zone coming out there, another northwestern zone there for the Skyhook area over by Lava Fisher as well. So any of those teams that land up there are going to be a solid spot to start everything off.
Yeah, that's right. Meanwhile, for teams like Succubus, who dropped Geyser, Flavor of the Month, all the way in the southeast side of the map, going to be a pretty difficult rotation here, almost a max rotation for them to make. So we'll keep a close eye on that. And, you know, Glitter mentioned it in terms of our top 20, our grand finals, that giant $2.5 million prize pool. Well, when is that going to take place? That's next weekend. That will be the grand finale of what has been an amazing ALGS Championship, the inaugural ALGS Championships. This is the first ever. We're a part of history here. And, you know, one person who's trying to cement themselves in the history books and cement their legacy, their dynasty, well, that's Hockey's. We have some more words from him.
On the World's Edge, Team Alliance, we dropped Thermal Station. We've dropped there since before I joined the team. It's never really been an option to change, because then we would have to like spend a lot of time taking something over when we already have a place that we can call home. So it's a lot more safer and a lot more consistent to just keep playing for where we're at, even though it might not be the best spot to play from. Thermal Station is very far edge of the map, so we don't get to rotate early to a lot of zones. The benefit is that we get a lot of loot and we are able to fight well on edge. The downside is that we never get to make any zones early. Thermal Station has been our home for a long time, and we're not changing anytime soon. So you're going to expect to see us there a lot more.
And I love that listening with Hockey. For those that are aspiring competitive Apex players, you just defined it perfectly. We talk often about teams that like to rotate early, teams that like to play for positioning, versus teams that like to play for edge. And Alliance playing Thermal Station, they're kind of forced to play for edge because they're always going to be on the edge of the ring. They're always rotating a bit behind, which means they get good loot for them to take fights on the edge. So teams like Flavor of the Month that drop in the far southeast side of the map. Teams like Alliance drop on the far southwest side of the map, and Thermal Station, they are edge teams. They like to take fights, whereas teams like Aqualix, who drive very center of map, or TSM, FTX in the North American side of things, well, they like to play for zone and rotate. Different play styles based on your team, based on where you're dropping, and you know, I love to hear that perspective from Hockey's there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're talking about how, you know, the different ways the teams are playing, the different ways that they're going to be rotating their aggression levels, positioning, how important all of it is. I'm looking at this zone. If I'm not mistaken, I think it might end up being the exact same zone that we actually saw in game 1 of day 2, which was the game where we saw Third Impact take the win in that building over on Lava Fisher with the Loba. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes on Fire Beavers here, because we've seen them be successful so far today with their Loba. Now they're going to be closer to Fragments. They're going to have to make a little bit of a rotation there. But as I say that, Aqualix is getting dropped in on already.
That's going to be by Fire Beavers actually themselves. So you talked about it a little bit ago. That's crazy. Aqualix, speaking of fast rotations, they drop Fragment East, and they're already at Countdown here. They got to be careful because teams like T-Rex drop nearby. 7 Oz, Maliwan, they're going to join the fight here with some picks over 9 Imps, their fellow CIS or Eastern Europe member. Couple good shots being put in. We got the Magicians, we got Fire Beaver, 2 CIS squads, and then of course we got Aqualix, a multinational squad. UK, I believe, my man Nasky from Scandinavia, and of course Dell also from the United Kingdom. We'll see what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping that Fire Beavers would make that early rotation, try to get over to the Lava Fisher area as early as possible. So it's kind of weirdly coincidental yet again, Fallout, that I'm talking about them and they end up dropping down on Aqualix's screen like that. I don't know what is in the water today, but if they're able to continue that rotation and they can get a solid spot with their Loba, we talked about how clutch she was in that Lava Fisher area, allowing teams to kind of stay stationary while still having a ton of loot at their disposal, which is huge for endgame. So Fire Beavers could be in a potentially successful situation if they're able to get a spot early.
You know, Glitter, after this broadcast, I'm gonna hop on the first plane to Vegas, and me and you are hitting the tables. Something about this mixed match right now, this juju between the two of us. We got some good things going on, crazy predictions, and all of it has been coming to fruition here as we're now on board with Dell.
I will take it. I'll take the fact that we've got some insane caster luck right now. Aqualix, though, you had mentioned them last time when we were casting, so they're one of the teams to look out for, and they have really showed up today for themselves. They've gotten better with every single match so far, so they're definitely getting into a rhythm for themselves. You can see right now Dell is on white armor, so that's a little bit less than ideal as they are kind of deciding how they want to handle the situation with Fire Beavers and anybody else potentially rotating in from train yard or elsewhere. But right now, I mean, they're going to hold. They know that they've got a lot of squads surrounding there, so they need to decide how they want to kind of take these engagements, because they definitely want to be the ones to choose, right? They don't want to get pushed on and have it forced onto them.
That's right. Yep, Yuki, one of a few Caustics in EMEA. Still playing as Caustics. It's the nerf. We got a few Caustic teams, and Yuki's going to get under some pressure here. Actually, Canister's going to be popped here as well. He's got 2 more hidden in front of him. Will take some damage. Dell looking to potentially level up his own Evo shield and can use Caustic EMP to do that. Has a variety of ways to potentially do that. We'll see how they continue to play this, but I'm not sure if this countdown spot is the best position. I might be wrong though. Aqualix perhaps is familiar with these zones. They know something that I don't know. It can end up countdown, but they're gonna have so many teams that are gonna be pushing from their behind, and of course they're gonna be a little bit sandwiched from teams on their right side as well. But I'm interested to see how Aqualix plays this. Meanwhile, Alliance finds themselves at Harvester.
Some more charge rifle action coming out of Vipes as well. Able to do a little bit of damage, I believe, down onto Gambit. And this is a squad that we were talking about earlier as needing to have a game here that just kind of sets them a little bit better in a better mental state. They've had a slow start to today, so they're already taking some damage. Hardeki decides that they're actually going to back off, and maybe they don't want to take that engagement with Alliance right now. Got to make a little bit wider rotation towards sorting. You can see on the map there in the corner of your screen as well just how many teams have already made their way towards Countdown, towards Lava Fisher, trying to hold a spot as early as possible.
Yeah, this is going to be a far rotation. They're actually going to go through train tracks and work all the way around from the northeast chokes, either the fragment choke or more likely perhaps the harvester choke. But if they take that harvester choke, they might also run into Alliance again. So the smart, safe decision is to take the geyser choke over on the right side, not the cave necessarily, but the choke before that, and rotate all the way around. That's gonna be a crazy rotation for that. Meanwhile, 303 deep into the zone still. They're actually gonna find a team, and they come out on top in that fight against Andy Shex and co. They come out on top in that one, but now they have a challenge ahead of them. They have they're in zone, stuck for quite some time, and they have a really far rotation to the next zone after this.
You know, it's interesting that we're seeing this type of play out of Gambit. I think this is probably a result of them having a little bit slower start to their games here for day 3, because we have seen them be insanely aggressive. So this is a little bit of a flip of their strategy so far, but it's going to probably work out well for them, this conservative play style, as it will at least solidify them some better positioning. They are able to make the rotation, and no one is here in this choke outside of Harvester, at least yet. No one is here, so they do end up playing it a little bit safer, knowing that the likelihood of Alliance kind of moving around inside of Harvester is still pretty high. Although Leogri does have a white armor, it's probably why they backed off, played it a little bit safer here. But let's actually do a quick listen in with Gambit and see exactly what's going through their heads as far as strategy goes.
Смотри, маленькие банки еще лежат. Давайте армор Артур закрафтим, и я был... Меня. А, тебя?
Фэт, мы убили только что кого-то. Они не с нашей стороны, походу, играют сейчас.
Я себе кроме болта...
Дайте армор кто-нибудь вот тут, пожалуйста, я сбегаю, все возьму эту хуйню. Или поставьте мой повторно.
Какой армор?
У вас хватит 45 поставить мой повторно армор?
Поставлю.
Я хотел просить армор, чтобы сбегать бочку залутать, чтобы мне, ну, еще не были.
Большую банку стакните мою.
А банки я, наверное, не буду Ах, хотя у меня рюкзак появился. Вот, да.
У меня есть интересная идея, где мы можем заплеить, слышите?
Какая?
Через лево, мне кажется, мы не сможем пройти, но вот есть идейка, вот тут, видите, фуник? Под ним можно стоять.
Смотри, если гейзер нажать, то сюда пролететь.
Гейзер нажать.
Так, фуник, хочешь тренярда?
Well, if you're from Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, or any other CIS country, hope you enjoyed that one. Gotta, of course, show some love for the CIS Apex community, one of the largest, most passionate, most skillful communities in all of Apex. So many teams in our EU region come from the CIS, whether it's Magicians, Fire Beavers, Gambit, or so many others. It's insane how much talent that region has produced. Of course, you can't forget about 789.
Yeah, and that's why we love the EMEA region so much, because it's pitted so many good players and teams against each other that we have just had an absolute field day with the matches that we've been able to watch here so far in our groups stages. Back on board with Alliance here, who has continued a rotation away from Harvester. Now they're over on the Lava Fisher side of things, trying to clear out these buildings, making sure no one is in here holding anything, and they are going to decide what they want to do from here. Some more charge rifle shots coming out of Vice Zone. He's been able to at least utilize that to keep that poke damage and keep those teams off of them pretty well for so far.
Now, Alliance have been boot camping the past few weeks, all in Sweden right now. Big shout to Alliance, one of the most supportive esports orgs, flying these guys out, making sure they're all together. Of course, two of them are Swedish hockeys in Vice. IPM himself coming from Norway. All three of them have been in Sweden, have been boot camping, working as a team. And I got to say, of all the teams in EU, this team has an absolute brotherhood. It's fun to watch. They're, of course, managed by Chef Pontus, who's their general manager, and their team chef, by the way, not too shabby. Playing video games professionally. Big shot to Chef Pontus.
Yeah, I mean, they even, you know, they had an entire video there that you could check out on them for on YouTube, just giving a little bit of background on Alliance, seeing how and why they work so well as a squad. Back on board with Scars, though, and Scars, we were talking about it earlier, a little bit unstoppable right now, potentially. I don't know if they will, but potentially about to run into the month team we have been keeping our eyes on this entire tournament, and a fight breaking out between the two of them this early on, that would be a little bit scary.
Yeah, it'd be massive. And I'm just wondering how Flavor of the Month was able to get all the way to Skyhook, what their rotation was. I mean, all the way from the bottom right Lava City side of the map, they must have worked their way north through Geyser and all the way through Epicenter and around, I believe, to Skyhook. That would probably make the most sense, but nonetheless, a crazy rotation from Flavor of the Month. I doubt they changed their drop spot, obviously, as you heard from hockeys, that rarely happens. Meanwhile, Scars deciding, hey, do we want to stay in Skyhook? Do we want to try and rotate? They ran into a team in that choke, so they decided to work their way back to Skyhook where they originally started.
Yeah, Scars deciding to play things pretty safely here, using portals, kind of checking out the area, making sure their heals are up. They're going to hold the building for now until they're really forced to make any sort of a move here, and that might be the moment when they do end up crossing paths with Flavor of the Month. So one of those two teams is going to have to decide what they want to do and how they want to handle it. Gambit, though, Gambit potentially in the middle of engagement. Leogri pretty low and taking even more damage as they say that, about to go down, taking charge rifle shots, and makes it out with a sliver of health.
But another team is going to take him out, and goodbye for Leogri. Vice gets the kill point right there. A nice heads-up play to turn his shoulder and get just one tick of damage on Leogri. Two members of Live here for Gambit now. It's Hardeki and Artico. Be tough for them here in this situation. Again, that's why playing Edge, I respect it. I commend it so much because it's tough to do, right? You obviously always constantly in fights and run into situations like this where there's two, maybe three teams nearby. And one of them is Alliance, especially, who they've been trailing the entire game.
Alliance knows exactly where those remaining members of Gambit are as well. Gambit does decide to make a rotation through the zone instead. Probably the safer call, because Alliance was not about to let them leave through Alliance. I mean, they're going to see if they can also maybe get a res there and get all three players back up for Gambit being a little bit better position after that. Alliance backs off and starts making a push even further there into Lava Fisher. We'll potentially start running across some of these squads that have already started holding down buildings that are a little bit farther north in this area, but Alliance is set up well for themselves right now, potentially spotting out one of those crews that I was just talking about as they make that rotation.
That's right. Meanwhile, 303 finds himself in a fight of their own here over back towards Skyhook. It's going to be Zerifer of T-Rex, I believe, who got a knock at the top right somewhere else in a different fight. Hardeki getting taken out by Vibes at the top right of your screen. Keep an eye on that as we jump back into this initial fight. 303 on low ground in Skyhook. We know Flavor of the Month was here. It's not going to be Flavor of the Month. It is actually, sorry, Flavor of the Month, who they are fighting right now with Querney and T-Rex nearby as well. Looks like T-Rex gets the upper hand in their fight. Will Flavor of the Month have the same luck? We'll find out.
And this is what's going to happen if they end up, you know, holding these buildings as long as possible and waiting to make those rotations. I believe we just saw a Valkyrie ult go down to make one of those rotations as well. for whoever was across the way. That's actually going to be Scars. This is probably a smart move from Scars, but they're rotating into an area where there are already so many teams. They're able to make it out, taking only minimal damage, and that was definitely a high-risk play for Scars to do with that Valkyrie ult. It does pay off for them, but now they're going to have to figure out a way to get an advantage positionally.
Yeah. Yeah, good decision to avoid the madness that's going to be in Skyhook here. It's going to be, leaving this fight is only going to be 1 or 2 teams surviving. As I say that, oh my gosh, Paradise almost gets taken out. He's out of the fight right now. Oh my goodness, the Dome Shield saves him, and he survives. Able to Phoenix kit back up to full health here as his teammates are playing bodyguard. Flavor of the Month wanted to initiate on that fight, but now we're back to even.
This is going to be a standoff between these two teams until they are forced to move through because of the ring or because somebody lands something crazy like those grenades that we just saw coming out of Flavor of the Month and 303 respectively, because once there is a little bit of a damage advantage, I expect one of these teams to have to make a push here soon. They only have 30 more seconds until they really have to make a decision on how they want to handle it. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. As I say, that Flavor of the Month is now in an engagement with 303. They did make the push out instantly. Paradise goes down, and now they're just going to have to clean up the other 2.
Oh, and then a nice flank coming through. Taylor's going to get knocked here by member 303. Can 303 clutch it up? No, it looks like Flavor of the Month will in the fight, but the third party's going to come through from HLDC right after, and they'll clean up. Again, that's exactly how you knew that a fight would end up. It's just a lose-lose situation for Flavor of the Month and 303 because they have to take the fight with the zone rotating. However, a team's just going to third party and clean up those kills. So HLDC was the third of the party, wins that one. And just a difficult situation to dig out of. Meanwhile, 789 getting knocked by Maliwan of Magicians. On board now with HLDC, the Turkish squad, as they make their rotation. This is I will say it, this is a must-win game for HLDC in terms of where they stand in the overall standings. They were in 39th place coming into this game. They got to go massive.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was saying that decision on the timing of your rotation out of Skyhook was so important when we were first looking at it, and it was just Scars and Flavor of the Month because it changed the entire outcome for them. Scars now having made yet another rotation into a really, really rough spot. The bombardments are coming out. The bubbles have already gone down. Mandy is not, should be able to maybe get the res off. With all of the distractions that are going on, somehow it does work. He just needs to be able to heal up now and is able to use his bubble in response to get that battery off and start using some of his throwables. That was a huge recovery moment for Scars.
You gotta be kidding me. What we just saw from Scars, actually this entire game, their rotation has been pristine all the way from Overlook into Skyhook. They realize this is a lose-lose. We got to avoid this fight. They Valkyrie ult out for positioning. Then they Valkyrie ult again. And somehow, some way, they're still alive with the top 7 left. Alliance in the fight nearby. News is going to post up in that house. And now they are just quite literally living on the fence in this fight. And Alliance is taking their 90-degree angles, though. This is going to be scary for Scars.
If Scars can just kind of utilize that fence right now and not peek Alliance, who's directly across from them, that they might be okay for a little while. You could see, wait, Taichi was alive? Okay, all right. Does get knocked before he takes the portal, but they do end up having to portal away. RPR trying to get a battery off to see if he can maybe give himself enough time to get a res on some of his teammates. You do see those tracers so close to Scars coming in from Kick, coming in from New. Alliance is still across the way. And once again, they get the Gibby and the bubble goes down, giving them enough time to res. This is insane.
Yeah, I gotta go ahead and change the team name Magicians. Scars, you are the new Magicians. I don't know how they have survived this long, and I was going to say, if they pull this off, if they somehow get top 3 in this game, I will absolutely lose my mind. I will shave my eyebrows. I will not shave my eyebrows, but still, I will lose my mind.
I mean,
that was crazy.
They still can, though. They still have an opportunity because of all the other fights that are going out right now with Alliance and the team across the way. If Kick decides to turn their focus onto Alliance and try to third party this fight, then Scars might be okay for a little while longer.
Unbelievable showing from Scars right now, managing to survive just barely over and over again. Meanwhile, Alliance finds himself in a fight. New's taking their own fight against Scars. I believe New ended up finally pushing that fight against Scars. Here comes the flank from New. I've been so impressed by this squad. New Esports in Group A, one of the best groups we have so far, continues to perform, led none other than by Tyler, the young gun, my monster MVP after day 1. Tyler has been playing so incredibly well alongside his Portuguese teammates.
This was a super aggressive push that we saw coming out of New Esports. Granted, it was kind of forced by the way that the zone was pulling, but they cleaned up so many KP in the process. They do go down trying to make that final rotation. I believe, down to Maliwan and Co, if I'm not mistaken. Game of Drones being one of the only teams that are still up right now. This is not the ending that I thought was going to happen between Magicians and Game of Drones.
That's right. Yeah, it's been a crazy finish. In the end, we got a clean 3v3 here. Kind of an interesting 3v3. Typically in these scenarios, you'll see at least 3 teams alive, and the third party usually wins the fight. But right now, it's basically a game of arenas, my friends. If you've been enjoying that arenas game mode, this is what we got here. Pure 3 versus 3. We got Crypto, Gibraltar, and Wraith on the Magician side going up against the Game of Drones with Gibraltar, Wraith, and Bloodhound. Here comes the push from GOD. They like what they're seeing. The ultimate's going to come through, pushing wide right and going for the kill.
Oh, we see the bubble come out. Both bubbles are now out to protect from those bombardments. We see the shotgun shots, and the Magicians are just falling so quickly. Will Oz be able to hold off Game of Drones right now? He has no health fallout.
And it's going to be an ARC-Star that forces the hand here. And looking to finish this one out will be the Game of Drones. Not done yet, though. Here comes the fight. 1 versus 1 for the bread. A 3v3 turned into a 1v1. You got to be kidding me. What a finish this is here in Game 4. Grenade going to be tossed up by Rondon. A pure 1 versus 1 fight. 7oz able to hit the shield battery and heal back up. He just made magic right there, going into the void, healing back up and keeping himself alive. He's going to get the med kit off as well.
He's been using the knockdown shield on his teammate this entire time to get his heals off. Rondon also able to get himself healed up as well. Red shields do go down.